everyone. It is so awesome to be back here on A Dose of Positivity after being gone for a month. I'm so grateful for everybody who showed up live today and everybody who's watching the restream on our channels. Really appreciate you showing up with your support and your love. We have a very, very special guest today that I'm so excited to share. And I'm also excited to share a little bit about what I've been up to and where I've been. And if you want to stay on after the call, after the live call, which will end sharply on the hour, we can do some deeper dives and questions. But for the sake of time and respecting everybody who's coming in live and on the live stream, we are going to get started by welcoming all of you stewards of the land, you humanitarians and solutionists. I want to welcome you again to, I think this is our 67th episode. It's hard to believe. We've been over a year, and when we hit 100, our milestone, we are going to have a big old party with lots of free gifts and fun things to offer everybody. So stay tuned for that. So here's where I have, for all you new people on board, this is where I have the great privilege and honor to interview these passionate change makers, thought leaders, and social entrepreneurs who are putting nature and social and environmental justice at the forefront of their endeavors. We interview a lot of wellness professionals here. We go deep into health because not only is our personal health being sabotaged, but the Mother Earth, Pachamama, is as well. So united as we learn from nature, we can all make more of a ubiquitous difference in the world. So I want to just say it feels so great to be back. And the topic of this show kind of ties into what I was just saying. It's about the bottom line that matters. And my special guest is Jennifer Glass. And we're going to be talking not just about the bottom line of business, but the bottom line of life and what it means to truly live like the future matters, to live, eat, and work and thrive in these challenging times that we have. Many people are struggling right now, and on this show we find those challenges, opportunities, and ways for us to really excel in life, and like a pebble in a still pond, spread out that joy and love and consciousness that is making a difference. I want to remind you it's a live broadcast, and if anybody has anything they want to say, just raise your hand. If you'd like to come off mute and come on stage, we'd love to welcome you with any questions you have. And I'm going to start this conversation because I want to share a little reading from my book that's going to bring us closer into the topic what Jennifer's speaking to. You know, because we all have been through trauma. There are tragedies that we've all gone through, and Jennifer has had her share of both. And this woman has gone on to achieve many great things and continues to spread love and light in the world. And so I'm reading, this is from Living Like the Future Matters, this book. And it's from a chapter called Put Fear Aside. And like we've talked about in many other episodes, we have brought up the topic of fear. And on the opposite side of fear is freedom. So that is kind of really the topic of this bottom line, right? Topic really where we're headed. So this is in 2009 when, after 25 years in business, I made a lot of money, all right, in my restaurant and my bakery business. And it was 2009 and it was a massive recession. And so this is where I had a major adrenaline and lots of fear. And I want to just read this to you real quick. We felt the pinch of the Great Recession with declining revenues in both our businesses. The Great Recession, which started in December 2007, lasted until June 2009, which was the most prolonged recession since World War II. My dependable dad felt the pinch too, and on top of that, he had been ill for a couple of years. There was no way I was going to ask him to bail me out. In search of some financial relief, we went to 2 traditional regional banks to refinance an existing loan, only to be turned down. After 26 years in business, we were humiliated. but I did not let it get the best of me. It would have been easy to binge daily on loaves of banana bread, and instead I walked and I swam in the ocean more, and I got my wits about me, and I called one last bank. We put fear aside and we persevered. With all our ducks in a row, we let the banker know that there was no way they could not refinance our loan. We painted the perfect scenario and we presented our reasoning why it was a no-brainer to work with us, even if our cash to debt ratio did not meet their requirements. It took several conversations to convince the local branch manager that our successful business was worthy of refinancing, or we would go bankrupt. Our credit was excellent. We had never been late on a payment, and we employed 35 people who would deposit their paychecks into their bank. It took most of the winter to negotiate and get the loan, a grueling process, but we got it. Perseverance paid off. We put fear on the other side, and freedom prevailed. And then you know what I did, you guys, which was super cool? I marched into the bank that declined me, which was Wells Fargo. I had two, of the hugest market bags I could find. Like I looked like a bank robber. Wells fucking Fargo, excuse my English. I went in there and I said to the bank teller, who I deposited hundreds of thousands, probably millions of dollars into this freaking bank. And this teller knew me really well. And I said, I came to get all my money. And I put my bags on the counter. And the banker came out who was the branch manager, and happened to be a woman who I really liked and respected, but I didn't respect her role. And she says to me, Donna, what can I do? I'm so sorry. What can I do to make things better? I said, give me the loan or give me my money. And so they wrote me a check. I never filled the bank bags, but I left. And there was some trauma involved in all of that, but it was great to move in. That's when I started banking and doing all my business in co-ops. Hey, I want to welcome Robin and Karina. I'm so glad you're here for the show. This is going to be great. Sandra, thank you, all of you who came on. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that story, but I want to introduce you to this incredible woman because she's been through a lot, and her bio doesn't reflect everything we're going to be talking about today. But Jennifer Glass is the CEO of Business Growth Strategies International. This is the only company to offer business growth coaching along with smart payment processing solutions, marketing plus web hosting, and a design solution designed to increase the company's bottom line. She's an award-winning business growth expert who works with small to medium-sized businesses to help them find the money they are leaving on the table. Yes, that's what I did. I found my money at the bank. She also the author of multiple works, including It's the Bottom Line That Matters. Jennifer, I just want to welcome you to the show, and everybody who's on live today, thank you so much for being here today. It's really great to have you. And I hope anybody who has any questions will shoot them at Jennifer. But Jennifer, before I get into the questions, I'm not even sure we met. It was in some business mastermind group at some point. But Jennifer, we just really, really connected because she's from the East Coast. She was living in New York during the whole 9/11 fiasco. And we were first talking about business, but I asked her, you were in New York at 9/11, and she told me a story, which I really would like you, Jennifer, just to open up, talk about what happened with your relationship, everything, and how that flamed your fire and your passion to be so successful in what you're doing today. So thank you for being here and sharing.
Thank you, and aloha to all of you. So thank you, Donna, for having me on the program. And what can I tell you about 9/11? So on 9/11 itself, I was working at a company that was we had two offices, one on Wall Street, across the street from the Exchange, and one on Broadway, which was a block away from the exchange. And by the way, when I say exchange, I'm talking about the New York Stock Exchange, right? Wall Street, that we all know of. As far as my experience down there, I had one of those, well, let's put it this way. It was one of the worst days of my life and really taught me certain things that I hope nobody ever has to go through again. To kind of walk you through the story, though, of what happened, and then we'll kind of jump from there. I was on the bus coming from New Jersey into New York City that morning, saw the first plane fly in as we were by the Lincoln Tunnel. There's a helix that comes from the roadways. And when you're going onto the Lincoln Tunnel, you have that little helix that you go around and then you're in the tunnel. But as we were coming down the helix, the first plane flew in, we saw the resulting fireball come out the other side. And from our vantage point, it looked like it was just a small plane, not that it looked like a jet. So silly me, I get off the bus at the Port Authority bus terminal. I go down into the subway system and I asked the clerk, other than Chambers Street, which is the stop on the subway system that is at the World Trade Center, I asked her, other than Chambers, is the rest of downtown open? It was. So I got into the train. By the time I got out of the train, I come up the 2-3 station on Wall Street at Wall and Broad. And as I'm there, I end up having a crazy thought. I mean, I was looking at everything. It just looked so surreal in terms of all of the things that came flying out of the planes as they hit the towers and all the papers that were blown out from the towers. If I would have picked up some of the papers that were on the floor that day, I would have been loaded because they were all bearer bonds and everything in street name. Go prove that it wasn't me that owned those bonds or whatever it was. But it was also, though, the kids' toys and the shoes and everything else that was packed on the plane in the luggage that went flying out of the plane as it impacted the building. And this is what was there. I get to my building. I go upstairs to the floor, met by the office manager who sees me there, and she says, our COO doesn't want anyone upstairs, too afraid if anything happens again. So we're downstairs on the corner of Wall Street and Broadway, watching the buildings burn. And the things that we saw that day, I really wish I can forget. Unfortunately, it's seared into my memory. But long story short, after a while, the buildings eventually came down. And seeing that plume of smoke coming at you and not knowing if you were going to come out of it on the other side is one of the most frightening thoughts anybody could ever have. It's one of those things that finally got me to understand the biblical plague of darkness. The commentators say that the biblical plague, if you were standing, you couldn't sit. If you were sitting, you couldn't stand. It was that kind of paralysis that you felt when that plume was coming at you and in the plume as well. You did not know what was going to be on the other side. And so it was one of the scariest things I ever went through. But what it did, though, was it really made me focus on what it is that we need to be doing as a people, right? We see the hatred that is out there every single day. If you've been following the news over the last several years, you see that hatred growing even more. In the wake of 9/11, every street you went down, you had flags hanging out on everyone's homes. There were people who were proudly waving the American flag, people who put aside differences and said, you're American, I'm American, we can come together. And now we have fighting like we never saw before. But what we do need to keep in mind, though, is it's not just how we're fighting with each other, it's also how we're destroying everything that we have. We know that we need to be paying attention to everyone else. We have to support the community. We have to support the earth. We have to support what it is that we're doing with all of us. And that is what really I started looking at. How can I make what I'm doing for me getting that second chance? How can I really make sure that I am giving back to be doing that much more for everyone else?
That answers the first question. Who are you? Oh my God, I have goosebumps so big time. That was so appreciated for you to share it. And I think that your story, for everybody who's listening, kind of puts a little, no pun intended, but fire in our bellies, fire under our asses, wherever you want the fire, that heat. But you're so right. I mean, even we saw it happening when COVID was in the heat of COVID, people came together again. How much trauma, how much tragedy do we need to wake up the masses to come out of this? But when I really think about it, when I look at the title of your book, you know, it's the bottom line that matters. This is really the bottom line that matters. But I know a lot of people who are on the show came here because we want to get into some of this nitty gritty, good, juicy business stuff that comes from understanding who you are, right? And understand what drives you. So let's get into a little bit more about what drives you now and what are the results that are coming out of your knowingness of how to be as a people and how to run a business as a company that's going to bridge these fear and hatred gaps.
Thank you. And that's a great question. Let me first say that what drives me is, and I've been accused of being utopian. I think, Donna, you and I may have spoken about that privately, but I've been accused of being utopian, and it wasn't meant as a compliment. But here's the thing, though, the way that I look at it, when I help my clients grow their businesses, they end up hiring more people. They end up having more income that they can now give all those nonprofit organizations and people that rely on Main Street businesses to be giving the donations to those people. We can improve our communities, and it doesn't have to take a 9/11 or a COVID where every night at 7 o'clock here in the New York area, everyone was outside honking their horns or clapping at 7 o'clock. And it didn't matter if there were people even on the street. You just went outside and you were clapping. It was one of those kinds of things that we were doing because we appreciated what the doctors and nurses were doing in the hospitals. We appreciated what everyone was doing for us, the troops that were out there risking their lives to help protect our freedoms. What we need to do, though, is we also need to protect our businesses, because our businesses are important to the overall community's prosperous times and success too. If we don't have business, we don't have people, because we need to have a place to get all of our wares. We need to have people who are there to give us whatever our needs are. And that's why you saw even during COVID, these are the essential businesses. Right. How many of those essential businesses, I mean, putting aside liquor stores, I don't know why liquor stores were really essential. I mean, yes, you know, plenty of people love their wine, but I would have thought other businesses were a little more essential, but it was important, right? Places that sell kids' clothing and diapers, things along those lines, without a question, that was essential. Could not get by without diapers. But how we go about doing what it is that we're doing on a regular basis becomes something so important. And so from my side, what drives me is that desire to make our community stronger. I sit on way too many boards and commissions. Ask anyone, my kids, my parents, they keep telling me, you're on way too many things. It's because of my innate desire, and I grew up with it, seeing my parents do the same thing, giving back to the community. When you can be there and you can be giving back and you can see the community's strength, that's what drives me. And so how you bridge that into strong business is, you know what you have to be doing and where you can offer. I'm not trying to make, let's put it this way, I'm not going to complain making $1 million, but I'm not trying to make it on one person. I want to help as many people as I can. And so I often speak to groups and I tell them, here are things that you can be doing that are going to help you grow your business. You work with me, you don't work with me, that's not the issue. My goal is if I can impact 1 billion businesses globally, I know that I'm making a positive impact. I believe that we were put on this planet to leave it in a better shape than we found it, in whatever way we can.
You got to love this woman, huh? Listen, I know there's some people on here on this live broadcast right now who are business people who I absolutely love. And Karina, Robin, anybody else who has a business who's doing amazing things in the world, I would like to ask you, invite you to put your information in the chat and introduce yourself to the audience, and we'll make sure it gets out. Anything that you want to share or put out there for anybody who's listening right now can take advantage, because I know some of these people on here are resonate very true to what you're saying, honey. So I would like everybody to have the opportunity to put that in the chat. And I know you're going to have some really interesting stuff to share. I'm super excited to dive into how you help business owners grow. Like, there's a lot of business coaches out there. There's lots of people out there, but there's a lot of business coaches. And I was just interviewed about this yesterday. You know, there's too many coaches out there that really, like, there's too many bad doctors out there. They need to be disbarred because they're giving people the wrong information and they're making people sicker, and they're making businesses more competitive for the wrong reasons and sickly for the wrong reasons, that aren't doing those things you're talking about. So let's dive into the different strategies that you offer business owners to grow their businesses in a more ethical way.
Thank you. And I'll just quickly share, I mean, there was a story that came out just recently about a hospital corporation that was moving or using mortality metrics as a key portion of the executive's pay. And so doctors are being forced to move patients into hospice care to lower the hospital's mortality. It was just reported, at least on NBC News this week, which was a really interesting story. I don't remember the hospital chain right now, but it was in, I think, 7 states on the mainland. But in terms of what I do for businesses is I really try and help a business, first of all, understand where they're coming from. One of the problems that too many business coaches don't do is they look at, well, I'm going to work with you on this part, but they're not looking at the business holistically. If I talk about the difference between a medical doctor and an osteopathic doctor, there's a very big difference. Think about business coaching in the same way. A medical doctor is going to say, Donna, you have a cough. I'm going to give you cough medicine. An osteopathic doctor is going to say, well, let's figure out what exactly is causing the cough. It may not just be a need for cough medicine. We may need to see what's going on in your throat, what's going on in your nose and your sinuses. There's a lot of different things that can be happening that they need to look at. If you're inflamed, they're not just going to give you an anti-inflammatory. They're going to try and look at, well, where's the inflammation and how do we treat it? I look at a business in the same sense. I can tell you right now, if you come to me and you say, well, I don't know how to get customers, that may be a symptom, it may be a cause. But without really being in a position to identify exactly what the problem is, it becomes a little more problematic. And a lot of coaches just say, well, here's the treatment for no customers, right? We're going to start doing A, B, and C. But then what do you do, though, if the business implodes on its own success, right? They get you 3 months, 6 months, you get so many more sales, and then boom, you're out of business because you can't fulfill it. I work with businesses trying to help them really sustain that growth, not only attain that growth. Too many people are forgetting that. So when you're going through the process, it's really, how are you going to be shaping it, that it's going to be making that difference. I also try and work with them to find those special tips that are going to really work without necessitating them spending so much money on getting new clients. One of my favorite ones, as an example, is joint ventures. And is it okay if I break that down really quickly?
Yeah, no, I think joint ventures, this is great. It's like nature, co-creating, collaborating. Yeah, joint ventures. Yeah, it's the dandelion in the grass. They meet. Yeah, go for it.
Yes. So here's a great way to do it. And I'm going to use a real life example. I have a florist client that I was working with. One of the things that we did was 2 doors down from them was a jeweler, right? It makes sense. Somebody comes in for an engagement ring. They go to the jeweler or they go to the florist, whichever one they go to first. And the guy says he's looking to propose. They can immediately cross-refer the other, right? The jeweler or the florist. From there, if we look at the bridal event chain, there's everything that happens after that. There's the caterer, there's the hall, there's the officiant, there's the DJ, the photographer, the wedding cake, the baker, the printer, the et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of these different people that are now in that event chain. But how do we make it, though, that it stands out that everyone is now going to want to actually go to each one of these people? We create a trusted vendor list. And we have a backup just in case they're booked on that day. So what do? We now know everyone plays nicely with everyone on the list. We avoid the bridezilla issue because you're no longer going to be stressed about all of the different people that are in the mix. And you're going to be going up and down. Everyone is going to be getting business. Now, of course, inevitably, you're going to have somebody whose cousin is the photographer or the DJ, whatever. But one of the things we also, though, put in place was a booklet on some of the things that you don't want to be doing or that you do want to do. I think it was the top 10 things, something like that, every bride has to know about their wedding day. Things like don't try any new makeup or products for at least 30 days before, so you don't end up getting pimples or rosacea or anything. Don't hire your brother-in-law to do anything because you don't want to have to fight with them at the actual ceremony. You want to make sure that you've got the right kind of emergency supplies just in case anything rips, things along those lines. And that we give out at each one of those places to the people who are coming in first. And you give that with the trusted vendor list. And so what you're doing here is, other than the cost of a couple of brochures that you're giving out, you're really cutting down the customer acquisition costs. And so it's an amazing opportunity for everyone to be benefiting in that regard. And so if you look at, like you said, the earth and the everything on it is the joint ventures, that's exactly how you can do it. And there's ways that we can do that without having to be spending money on marketing if a business needs the help because they just don't have money.
And you're keeping the value chain healthy. You're keeping the ecosystem thriving. And if all of those vendors are eco-friendly vendors, that's who I'm saying. I mean, to me, a wedding is a cluster, you know what, where people are spending way too much money on the wrong things. And it's a devastating event at the end with so much more waste unless you do it right. And so by collaborating with all these vendors who are all pledged to do a social and environmentally responsible wedding where they're not hiring, cheap labor of not the right, this different skin colors because they're going to pay them less. I mean, there's so much of that exploitation happening. I saw so much of that happening when I just came from Baja. I couldn't believe that people were doing these weddings. The waste was unbelievable. I witnessed to this wedding, and I know that for a fact that the people having the wedding loved it, but that maybe the people working there weren't as satisfied. So you really want to pick those vendors, whether you're in the food business or the wedding business or whatever business. I mean, if we're truly going to make a difference, right? With whoever we're helping to green up their companies, to make a difference with their business. And it's so interesting. I said that thing about the dandelion and the grass, right? Well, it turns out that the grass is toxic and the dandelion is one of the most medicinal things you can have. And we pull them out, but the dandelion root is the best thing you can do pretty much for your kidneys and most of your internal organs. Where grass, the type of grass that we're planting all these lawns are, and having to put all these chemicals on it to keep the lawns beautiful and pull out all the dandelions, that's where the problem is. And that's bad business. So I think, I just had to jump in there and say that because I was just so sensitive about the whole wedding thing, because it is one of those very non-eco-friendly, can be. My husband and I pretty much eloped. It was a great wedding. So hopefully you're teaching the people how to do it, the right kinds of wedding, and put the right kind of organic florists together and organic caterers together, and zero waste events planning is really great business. There's people out there who are doing these zero waste events. I just want you guys to know this, who are doing incredible businesses, because there's a lot more people like you and me and all this who care. And if they have a choice, and if you market it that way and you present it that way and you're truthful that way, then you get those referrals, which is another addition to the joint venture. You get the joint marketing, you get the ripple effect of people being happy with their service and the consciousness of what you provided. So
Exactly.
exactly. And I know that I know who you are and what you are saying. So you resonate with me. So you allow me to have a little airtime there. And I was just, the wedding thing was at the tip of my tongue. So let's talk about like bringing this back to like, how can a simple mindset, right, shift start to create something new, right? You talk about this in your book, right? And we just talked, you could say it was a simple mind shift, but let's give us some more examples how a simple mindset shift can start creating something new.
Absolutely. And you see over here, one of my books all about mindset. And it really is how you're going about your mindset. Let me give a perfect example here. And I'm going to bring it back on the business side. You can have a dollars and cents mindset, or you can have a millionaire mindset. If you have a dollars and cents mindset, it is really hard to start seeing the big picture because you're always chasing the dollars. If you have a millionaire mindset, you're concerned with time. You're not concerned with money. You need to be in the millionaire mindset in terms of knowing I've got the money, but time is the only commodity I can never get more of. I can always get more money. I can sell another widget. I can sell another program. As Lennon said, if he needed money for a new swimming pool, he'll write another song.
That's great.
When it comes down to what it is that we're doing with mindset, it is not impossible to change our mindset. We just have to be a little more cognizant in terms of what it is that we're really trying to do. Little shifts in our mindset from abundance, or rather from little to abundance, can be a big deal. That means if we're focused on the little things, but we're not focused on the big picture, that's where our mind is going to be. If we're focused on going after, let me use an example, the conventional produce or the organic produce. Mindset shift. I can pay now a little bit more for the organic produce, or I can pay 20, 30, 40 years later at the doctor's office because I'm dealing with many more issues. My nutritionist was great when she gave me that idea. And it was that exact concept that made me see, well, this is why it's more important to be paying attention to that. I'm on the Fair Trade steering committee in my town. Same idea. You can do what you're doing with the fair trade, and you know that the kids are not going to be kidnapped to work on the cocoa plantations, or you can have the kids being kidnapped. And that's not to say every chocolate company is doing it, but we know that on many plantations that's happening. There's all of these kinds of things that are going on in the world. We can do that. We can be more ethical in what we're trying to do. We can be more focused on the bigger picture and not just on the small things. So mindset shifts, little hinges swing big doors. My mentor says that all the time. Think about that.
I love that. Little hinges swing big doors, right? You think about how little the hinge is. You don't even think about the hinge, you're thinking about the door. You know, it's really important. They say don't sweat the small stuff, but appreciate it. That's for sure, right? Those little small things, the little knobs on the drawers and all of that makes it work, right? I really loved how you put all that together. That really makes a lot of sense. And I always say, yeah, pay the farmer now or the pharmacist later. And it doesn't have to be 30, 40 years later. It can be a year or 2 or 3 later, because the amount of toxins that we're all exposed to every day, something like 8,000, you know, more and more people are on pharmaceutical drugs than ever before, whether it's antidepressants or things to do with heavy metals, irritated bowel syndrome due to the foods and the toxins that are in the foods. More dialysis centers opening up all over. They're like going to be like Starbucks on every corner because of all these pharmaceuticals that people are ingesting, even at young ages, including our children that are all becoming diabetic. 1 in 3 children in the next 10 years are predicted to be diabetic. I mean, it's atrocious. So these mind shifts, these little mind shifts are just essential for us all, not to just, you know, keep inside ourselves, but to come on programs like this or talk it around. And you know, the best thing that we can do instead of like marching a flag, oh, I do this, I do that, is just show up with those big bags instead of at the bank and say, collect my money. Take those bags to the farmer's market and fill them up with the local produce, and thank your farmer for keeping you from the pharmaceutical companies. It's really, really more important than ever for us to put our money where our mouth is and put our consciousness where it's concerning for what's happening on this planet. And it's business that's changed the world faster than anything in the world, and it's ethical businesses and business people with the moral courage that have the ability and the responsibility to change things the fastest. And I just appreciate all the business people who are on this call and who are going to share this call and, you know, get in touch with each other. I mean, maybe there's a connection like Jennifer was just talking about, and maybe there's a connection that you can all make. The last show I did, it was amazing. We were talking about children and death and dying, and the 2 people met who had lost a child in the past couple of years, and they're talking about getting together and doing a grief retreat. I mean, how beautiful is that? You never know when that moment is going to happen. And I love to hear, you know, we're kind of running out of time here, and I need to check if there's any questions in the chat, or if anybody has anything. I haven't even looked at the chat yet. You can tell me, is there anything I need to bring out to anybody's attention? We're just having such a deep conversation here, Jennifer. I really appreciate it. So why don't you take some time right now, and you were talking, you know, about the things that, and then I'll start looking through the chat, because there's a lot of things in the chat. You know, the simple mindset change is beautiful, but I also want to talk about, and I know for me, volunteering, you know, you're going to be sharing a little bit why volunteering is so important in your experience with fair trade and the other things that you're doing. But I even write about this in Living Like the Future Matters, is how, I never advertised. I would just go to events and I would just volunteer or donate stuff. And that's how I grew my business. It wasn't social media. We didn't even barely have a computer at that time. It looked like a German tank, on my desk, the computer I had back in 1982. But, so talk about why is volunteering so important from your perspective, and what people can do if they're not doing it, or how to do that mindset shift.
And that's a great question, because way too many people get bogged down in the concept of I'm too busy. What are you busy doing? A lot of us say we're busy, and that became a big catchphrase, especially over the last several years. I'm too busy. It's amazing, though, to look at the really professional people that are out there, the really successful people. If you think about it, you would think that people like Bill Gates, good or bad, but you would think that he is too busy to be taking on everything that he does. But yet, if you look at the things that he has done, there's so much there that he knew where to be putting himself in and where not to. There's a lot of causes that if we really pay attention to it, we can see this is a cause that's really going to make sense for me. And this is a cause where maybe it's not the right time for me, but at least to know about. One of the things, and if it's okay, Donna, I'm just going to throw it out here.
Yeah.
I keep saying I want to put St. Jude out of business. And a lot of people look at me like, wait a second, did she just say she wants to put them out of business?
Let's hear
it.
And
I say that really on purpose. And they know that I say that because I want a cure for childhood cancer once and for all. No child should ever die from any disease, especially cancer again. And if there isn't a child dying from cancer, then St. Jude's purpose no longer exists. And so as part of, you see a couple of my books behind me, but I'm in the process of writing a novel. And what I did was I put out on social media and I tagged St. Jude, but I said for $5 donation or more, and if you send me a copy of the receipt, screenshot that you made the donation, I will use your name as a character in the book. For a donation of $100 or more, I will use your company name in the book. And so what I was doing was I was partnering with St. Jude to help them get more donors and more value in terms of what's there. So I'm volunteering for St. Jude by simply making that connection, by saying, all right, give money to St. Jude. So I'm kind of a funnel into St. Jude. They know that I'm a loyal supporter. I've been giving them, many years at this point. And I cannot stand the idea of any child being sick and dying. It's too much for me, but you don't want that. And so I said, I want to put them out of business. And I will gladly say it over and over again until every child is able to get to adulthood.
Oh boy, that is such good reverse psychology marketing. At first I was like, whoa, there's some juicy stuff here on St. Jude's. Let's get it out. And I love that you are so creative and you went from nonfiction, heavy duty, like how to run your business the right way, to like, whoa, we're going to do this. I can't wait to hear what your novel's going to be. When it comes out, we're going to have you back on the show, because what a great business strategy. I mean, it really takes I don't want to say necessarily a business mind, but that is a very savvy marketing right there. I love that. You had me on the cliffhanger there. That was. I think I say June seems pretty cool thing. Why are they embezzling money? Are they doing sex trafficking with these young cancer survivors? I don't know. That is so cool. That is really cool. Very cool stuff.
Thank you.
So with this last time that we have, honey, I don't see any questions. I see lots of comments in the chat, and I think some people are connecting, which really makes my heart warm. I think everybody who put your contact in there. And then also what I'd like to do, tell right now is anybody who hasn't already read my book, Living Like the Future Matters, The Evolution of a Soul to Soul Entrepreneur. I'd like to send everybody who's on today's show a free ebook copy of Living Like the Future Matters. So, most of you are already on our mailing list, which is great. So we're not trying to scam you or give you get your email address. But put your email in there and say, yes, I'd like a copy. And after the show, I will email you this book. And I know, is there anything that you have that you would like to offer our guests before we do our closing circle here? Is there any last tips, things? But because you're going to have some closing remarks here at the end. So
absolutely. And one of the things that I did want to say is that you really want to have a clear focus on where you want to be. You want to know exactly what your big picture is. That's what we were saying earlier with the mind shift. You want to know what exactly it is that you're trying to get at. Find the right partners that can really be getting you there, and make sure that you also have mentors in your circle that you're touching base with regularly. Doesn't have to be me. It can be Donna. It can be someone else. It can be, anyone who's really going to keep you accountable. One of the things I tell my clients, and this is something that you really want to make sure of with any of your mentors though, I tell my clients, I can't be your mentor without being your tormentor sometimes too.
no, I like that.
Thank you.
Little
need
tough
to-
East Coast love goes a long way.
Yes, it does.
It is really true, though. I mean, I always tell people I'm woo. I may not be woo woo, but I am woo. But yeah, sometimes you have to do the little bit of that tough love. I love that. Can you say that one more time?
I can't be your mentor without being your tormentor sometimes too.
Sounds like sibling rivalry right there. I like that. So,
Yes, my two brothers and I, we had plenty of that.
I love it. So, I just want to do a couple real quick announcements here, and then I have one more really compelling question I want to ask you, honey. But I also want to thank you so much for being on the show. This has just been really great, and I hope people reach out to you. But I wanted to remind everybody, if you're watching the replay, thanks so much for comments. I've been really bad about saying things at the end of the show, like comment, and if you go on, leave reviews. It really makes us feel good. Keep the show going. This isn't about making money. We're not. This is all philanthropic love. So it just keeps my morale going. And I also want to thank everybody for appreciating, I have been dealing with some health issues, and I'm going to be starting to be a lot more transparent with it. So, Jennifer, just give me a second while I spill my guts for a minute. A second while I spill my guts for a minute. Now, that's an oxymoron. But yeah, I have chronic kidney disease, third phase. That's why I know so much about dandelion root. And it has caused me a lot of problems with what's going on. I've been having severe fog brain, exhaustion, really a hard time. I had to shut down my retreats here. We're still doing the vacation rentals, but I'm hanging out a lot and relaxing and meditating. I started meditating. Mama Donna is stilling her mind, which is kind of crazy, but I wanted to share with you how much that's helped me. And you could put this link up there. I really want to give you guys this gift today because I think this is so important. It's an app. If you don't have it on your phone or on your computer right yet, it's called Inside Timer. I have nothing to do, no affiliate with them, nothing. But they have all these different kinds of meditation. They do yoga classes. You sign up, you can do a free program or a premium program. But I'm starting to do regenerative yoga now. I've always been super healthy, but here's because we're paying the farmer now and the pharmaceutical companies later. I just want you all to realize what's happening to me is not because of what I've been doing in the last 10 or 12 years with my life, because that's when I got certified as a health coach 12 years ago. Had I not done that and done everything I've done, I'm convinced, and having talked to several doctors, I probably wouldn't be alive right now, because I have been clean and I have been teaching people how to stay healthy. And the show is part of my health thing, bringing all these health experts and conscious people forward. But it's kind of like skin cancer happens. Like my husband has skin cancer, right, in different places on his body. He has to be really careful, not because he's not careful now or hasn't been for the last 15 years, but he was a surfer when he was a young kid. So it was already all these things were already started, already laid in there. So I want to make sure all of you, because I love you all so much, make sure you go get your checkup, go get your blood work, be proactive. I don't care how healthy you are, I don't care how much organic food you're eating or how much Zen yoga you've been doing the last 10 or 15 years, because what might be happening to you might be something that happened, like we didn't feed the farmer or pay the farmer 20, 30 years ago and is catching up now. And there's things you can do. Like I am on the crossroads right now. And I'm being really vulnerable, and I love your prayers. Nobody worry about me, but just know that it was pretty scary there for a while, and I'm getting goosebumps. So that's really good. So just wish me well, and let me keep being here for you, because this is what keeps me strong. And this is that volunteer work Jennifer was talking about. This is the stuff. This is what rocks my world, when I can help other people. And right now, Mama Donna, she's just needing a little extra help. So here's the thing. We're going to have a show next week. And I'm super excited to introduce you to this guest. Her name is Anick Patry, and she's from Australia. And she is going to be talking about how to embody your higher, you're going to love this. Oh, the birds love it too. Your highest lucration of joy or aspiration and sexy joy. Oh, my dog's definitely like that. Hey, sorry about that. But anyway, she is a trip, this woman. She has no problem talking about sex and joy and life and lubricating your life. And she's got a great personality and a great accent. And then after that, I am heading to North Carolina. I'm going to do a Pachakarma, which is an Ayurvedic detox cleanse. I just got the okay from my medical doctors that I am going to be able to handle such a thing. And then I'm going to visit with my son and my granddaughter for a little while. I'll probably we'll keep you posted. You're all, I think, on my email list. If you're not and you want to be, please get on there, and then we'll have the replays on there. Just really love you all so much for hearing me out there, reminding you that the bottom line is your health, and the health of your business comes second. But the bottom line right now is I'm asking and challenging, inviting you all to step it up, get your blood work done, go ask the deeper questions, find your functional medicine doctor, your naturopath doctor, like the analogy Jennifer Glass gave us early in there, between go into a regular doctor and an osteopath or a naturopath or an Ayurvedic medicine doctor. Go the extra mile. Look at the alternatives, because the medical system failed me. My GFRs were low years ago, and they never flagged me until I got to this point. They should have flagged me 5 years ago, and I wouldn't be in this place. Do not trust a corrupt system. Do not trust the medical system as it is without doing your own due diligence. Do not trust a business out there that isn't doing the things that Jennifer talked about on the show. Do not support the medical system that's failing you, or any businesses that are failing you. And I'm not saying all medical systems are failing you, but I bring on guests like Jennifer because she speaks the truth, right? She's got a lot of wisdom to share. And some of you on the show have been on my show, and I want to have you back on my show. And we want to get deep into this. We want to bust the social norms right now. We don't want to hold anything back, and we want to spread it like a healthy virus, man. We are love. Love is the virus. Compassion is the virus we spread. So we'll see you next week on the show. And again, share this episode, any episodes you can. Share Karina. I've interviewed her and Robin too. They have terrific episodes. Hope you'll put the link in how people can go directly to those people. But well, last thing, Jennifer, I want to leave you with, and I want to leave you with this, because and our audience with this, because this is one of the most important things we can do. And you gave me this question to ask: how can a simple smile change someone's life, and then the ripple effect change the world. So leave us with that kudos, leave us with that love. And I want to again thank you all so much for joining us on A Dose of Positivity. Go take it away, Jennifer.
Thank you. And first of all, best wishes for a complete and speedy recovery. A simple smile. Think about when you're out there and you're seeing people. One of the things, and again, this goes back to how we were thinking earlier on, are we trying to be in a community, or are we trying to be alone? Many people in the supermarket, as an example, the people who are out there collecting the shopping carts, the people who are sweeping the floors, the people in hotels that are the facilities and housekeeping, they're invisible to most people. And so they wake up in the morning, they feel invisible. They go through their day, they feel invisible. And maybe they go home at night and they're still invisible. A simple smile reaffirms humanity in everyone. It reminds us all that somebody is there. And it's a simple smile that is there to really make that difference. We all have it in our power, except if you're masked. I don't know, I still am masking in certain places. But if you are out there, your eyes are still able to smile. How you're out there in the world, you can be giving somebody such an amazing gift by just a smile, a hello, have a nice day, have a great weekend, whatever it is. And I say it all the time to people. I mean, my kids at one point were asking me why. I do the same thing when I see soldiers in uniform. I say, thank you for your service. If I see someone has a veteran on his hat, I say, thank you for your service. I've trained my kids to be doing the same thing. In Hebrew, there's a term, hakarat hatov, recognition of the good. We need to be doing that. Again, it goes to, we leave the world in a better place than we found it. We know where things are good. We have to thank them for doing that thing for us so that we don't have to. And Donna, I just wanted to end. I got this nice little bank bag too. We'll get it filled lots of times.
That's so great. I love you so much, Jennifer. Thank you so much for being here. And we're going to check out, I'm going to end the show. We're going to end the show on that beautiful note. Anybody who's brave enough to come off and smile right now and give me a smile, just that'll make my heart soar. I would love to see your smile. And I just want to thank you all so much for being here, for your love and your comments here in the chat. Really means a lot to me. Really appreciate it all. So we'll see y'all next week. And Jennifer, we'll have you back next year at some point and hear about your upcoming novel. And again, everything is in the chat, how to get a hold of Jennifer, and you'll get the replay in the next newsletter and in our Facebook group and everywhere we're social. So big, big love to you all. I'm going to end this meeting now. I'm not going to stay on afterwards because I'm catering us dinner for somebody's birthday party. One of our vacation rental guests tonight has turned 72. So I'm going to go do that. I love you all so much. Everybody who will expect your free book here today, later on today, you put your emails in there, and we'll hope you read it and leave us a review on Amazon. And again, thank you all so much. Big, big love. Check out the Inside Chimer, and aloha.